Does picking an outfit have you running a little too fashionably late? We get it. Great taste takes time. That's why Drizzly, the #1 app for alcohol delivery, has your back with the largest selection of beer, wine, and spirits, delivered in under 60 minutes. Convenience never goes out of style. So if you need to spend some extra time in the mirror instead of at the store, download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com today.
92% of households that start the year with Peloton are still active a year later.
All because of a fancy bike?
It's not just a bike. Peloton makes treadmills too.
All treadmills are the same.
Our treadmills can adjust speed and incline automatically, so you never break your stride. Whether you're squeezing in a power walk or training for a marathon, Peloton can help you achieve your fitness goals. 92% stick with it. So can you. Try the Peloton Tread risk-free with the 30-day home trial. New members only. Not available in remote locations. See additional terms at onepeloton.com/home-trial.
Hey, it's Mistress Carrie, reporting for duty from MCHQ for episode 109 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. And before we get to this week's guest, Frank Bello from Anthrax, I want to put a plug in for the Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass on Patreon. If you're looking for exclusive inside information on the podcast and cocktails in the war room, access to discount codes to shop in the online Mistress Carrie store, amazing free concert ticket giveaways, if you want to submit questions for upcoming podcast interviews, find out about concert and album announcements early, take part in monthly exclusive live streams, and so much more, then the Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass is for you. Head to patreon.com/Mistress Carrie or click the Patreon button at mistresscarrie.com. My guest this week, Frank Bello from Anthrax, has been the bass player for the band for 40 years. And as the band celebrates their 40th anniversary, Frank Bello is also hard at work on a solo EP, and he also recently released his autobiography, Fathers, Brothers, and Sons, Surviving Anguish, Abandonment, and Anthrax. Frank checked in on the show to talk about the upcoming Tattoo the Earth Festival, August 27th at the Worcester Palladium outdoors with Black Label Society and Hatebreed, among others. But we ended up talking about his tomato plants and his dogs, the mental health toll of COVID, songwriting, his family upbringing, Black Sabbath, and the perfect way to slice a salami. And no, that's not code. I can't even count the number of times over the years that I've interviewed Frank Bello, and he is one of my favorite people in heavy metal. If you're looking for details on his book, on his website, his upcoming solo material, and Anthrax's 40th anniversary, check the links in the show notes of this podcast. So, allow me to introduce you to Frank Bello from Anthrax.
Hey, what's up? This is Sully from Godsmack. Strap on those boots, baby, because you are now in the trenches of the war room with the one and only Mistress Carrie right here on the Mistress Carrie podcast.
What's up? This is Joe Rogan, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Her hair so lovely, pretty eyes.
Hey, this is Brent from Shinedown, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie. Hey, Carrie, go put your bra on, girl.
Hey, this is Steven Tyler, and you be listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
What's up? This is Aaron from Stain, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Hi, everybody. This is Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, and you're listening to the one, the only Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is David from the band Disturbed, and you're listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
Hi, Bruce Dickinson here from Iron Maiden. Yes, indeed, Miss Whiplash herself, Mrs. Carrie, is here to unchain your brain.
Hi, this is Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You're listening to Mistress Carrie.
This is Dennis Leary. You are listening to my favorite, Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is Corey from Stone Sour, and you have the privilege of listening to Mistress Carrie. Oh, God. Oh, yeah.
Mr. Bello.
Yo, what's up, girl?
How are you?
Good. Yeah, I looked the circles and all that stuff under the eyes and all that stuff. You see, we had a show last night, Summerfest, went great. First time in a while Anthrax has played. So these shows like this are really fun to go out and play. But it's not as easy to do the one-off shows as when you're in a rhythm of a tour. Yeah. I don't care how much Pilates or yoga I do. Let me tell you something. My ass is beat up today. Straight out, I'm just being honest. A big stage, all good stuff, great crowd, a lot of people there, all good stuff. Very happy to do it. But my God, I was pissed at myself in the middle of it. I was like, man, I got to do more. I got to do more yoga. I have to do more to get in better shape and the rhythm. I just can't wait to get in. We haven't had a tour since before COVID, right? And
we all got a little bit out of shape just being stuck at home.
And even if, the difference is there's gym shape and then there's the stage shape. That's the truth. It really is. It's like a rhythm thing. It's your body, the way it reacts, all that stuff. But, it's a good lesson for me because halfway through the show last night, I said, you lazy bastard. I was talking to myself. I'm playing. I was like, you lazy bastard. You have to do more. You have to do more. I mean, it was a great show. But for me, I want my level to like increase so I can do what I do,
You better get in the gym because you're getting ready to go out on the road with Black Label Society, and Zach doesn't skip gym day.
No, I know Zach. Oh yeah, no, believe me. I'm looking forward to this. I have to say this to everybody out there. This tour everybody promotes their tours. This is a bunch of friends getting together and hanging out. It's kind of crazy that you have a lot of like-minded people because it's a lot of just ball busting. This is a ball busting tour. Backstage, I was already talking to JD, the bass player, the other night. We did an interview together. I said, we should just have cameras backstage to make people see what really the ball busting, the amount, the level of it, because there's some severe, great, great ball busters on this tour. And then Hatebreed's on this tour, all our friends. So to come back into this touring after COVID, during, whatever you want to call it now, it's the perfect tour for us, I think, because it's with friends and it's going to be a good time. That's what's important.
How was it for you as a player and for the band to be able, after everything that's happened, to go out and get on stage in front of your fans again? Because it's got to be so hard as a musician where you get so used to being able to go up on stage and play the music you love, and then it's all taken away.
It's a really good question. And look, you're looking at the place where I pretty much stayed creating wise. I wrote a book here in my basement. This is my basement, right? Everybody did their thing during COVID, right? To come out of this basement, even last night, to go onto a stage after, I think the last time we played was 2 months ago, another one-off show. Like you do these one-off shows. It's a different animal because Anthrax, you guys know, it's been a touring thing. It's been nonstop touring. To pull that away from us is, you got to keep that animal fed. Right? And it's really, really tough. So I can't wait to get into the tour and dig in and really dig in and getting that third or fourth show under our belts. It's like, all right, now we're getting there, So it's definitely different, but I'm glad. I think there's an anger and I think there's a hunger within the band, which I'm really happy about. I think that's good for writing. I think that's great for the tour. I think it's all good all around. So I believe it's all for a reason, and I'm trying to be positive about it because it's such a shitty time for all of us, right?
Yeah.
You got to make the best of it now. I'm glad people are coming out to shows again. People aren't afraid to come out to shows. I want to go out to shows. I've been seeing shows again, and finally, I missed Paul McCartney the other day, but it's okay. I love live music. I love seeing it. I love playing it. So I think we all need that. So I think it's really important that those two worlds meet, the people that want to see it and the people that want to do it. I think it's a really good thing, and I'm really happy that it still exists.
It comes up on my show all the time because those shows are where all of us weirdos get together to hang out with each other.
Yeah.
And we haven't been able to hang out in our land of misfit toys with each other. And that's where we all belong, right?
Totally
all
agree.
The bullshit gets left out. We go inside with a common goal where it doesn't matter, especially in this day and age with politics and all that stuff. We go into those shows because we want to experience that music together. And when whether you're on the stage or you're in the crowd.
It doesn't matter. It's one energy. I believe a show is an energy. You get the band. See, for me, playing a show live, playing it, I want to get the energy with the crowd. I want to be one. I want to have this great high at the end of it for both of us. So whoever's playing, I don't care. I went to see a couple of years ago when Foo Fighters first played the Garden back. They came back. It was great. My first show back. That was my first show back at the Garden. It was incredible, right? I just wanted to be a fan. I wanted to scream. I wanted to scream out lyrics. I wanted to have a good time. It's something, that connection you have with not only the band, the music. It's that energy we build together. I think it's so important. It's been missing from all of our lives because this is all good. You and I talking via internet, but it's not. It's not.
I'd rather be hanging out with you, man.
Exactly. I'd rather be hanging, talking, feeling the vibe. This is all good, but and thank God we have this stuff. The technology stuff, because we couldn't do anything else during that. But there's nothing like seeing a live band and just being just together with people, just people, and just enjoying a vibe. It's a vibe it creates. It's important.
It's the band in the crowd. It's like saying, well, I love having sex, but I want to be on top. It's like, it doesn't matter who's on top. Just let me in the bed.
Yeah, and if it's done right, we're going to do everything, right? Right. I mean, really, that's the whole idea. We're going to go back and forth a couple of times. So you be on top of, all that good stuff. It's going to happen if it's done right, and everybody feels good at the end, right? That's what it's supposed to be. You walk out of there. I want people walking out feeling good.
At the beginning of the pandemic, I talked to Morgan from Seven Dust, who, I know and I know really well.
Great.
And when you're talking about being locked in your basement, right? You guys are finally learning, this is what I said to Morgan, you guys are finally learning what it's like to be a radio DJ, because you've been locked in a padded room talking to yourself, and this is what it's like for us all the time, and you guys are finally understanding what it's like.
I totally, lesson learned there, and Look, again, I'm very lucky to have a basement where I can play and make noise and all that stuff and write, and I wrote a book here. I do all this stuff here. It's creative, but it's not what you want. It's not what you want. You want to get out and live off of, I want to feel the vibe from a person. I want to get that feed, it's so important because that's what we're used to. We all grew up on this. All of a sudden it's taken away from you. It's like, oh, now you have to do this. It's like, really? Oh, you have to do this or you die, right? It's like, what is that? What is that?
Did you name that room in your house? I built a studio in mine, and I call it MCHQ. Do you have?
Some people came up with the name Bello's Basement. I don't know if that means anything. It's Bello's Basement. I just stay here. And Bello's in his basement again. Okay, cool. So they started tagging it. Whatever works. Bottom line is, it's clean. I try to keep it clean. There's no mold, thank God. And it is
nice having your own workspace, right? Because I know that my phone charger isn't going to get stolen, and that my favorite pen is going to be right there tomorrow when I come to work.
Isn't that the best part? You could leave something. I could leave my glasses. I could leave it right here. They're going to be there later, and nobody's going to touch them. And I love that, unless we have ghosts. But I'm saying the other side of it is, I just want what I left last night. Say you have a part in your head and all that stuff. Tape. I want to press play. Wow. All right, it's right there.
Nobody changed the settings in my computer. It's all right there. Nobody's spitting on my microphone.
The bad breath of the microphone. I totally understand. That's the worst.
The worst.
Yeah, it's like you're making out with somebody else with bad breath. It's horrible. Ugh. Not good.
Well, I have not talked to you. Like, I was locked in the basement before it was cool because WAF got sold and went off the air a couple weeks before COVID happened. Yeah. And I haven't talked to you since before that.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why I launched the Mistress Carrie podcast before I even got back on the radio was that I wanted to have the conversations with the artists that we had in between the songs and during the commercials on the air. Because so much more happened that people couldn't hear.
Totally.
And that's what's been great about this.
And they're missing out because it's conversation. It's real talk, right? It's real talk. And it's like, there's no bullshit. Like, anybody could have these setup questions. All right, so when did the album come out? But what are you doing next? All that stuff. But the stuff you and I would talk about when that microphone's off and we're just kidding around, that's the goods. That's the real goods, the good stuff that we want to hear. And I'm a fan, so I want to hear that too. Right?
Yeah.
I think it's important. So I think it's a really good idea. And congratulations on it. Good for you. You know what? It's going to be fun. And that's the way to do it now. One thing closes, open another door opens. I love it.
I want to talk to you about how much things have changed since Anthrax started, right? Because you're celebrating your 40th anniversary. And obviously, back then, you basically had to play a show or if you got invited into a radio station, like that was basically how you could connect. Yeah. We live in a world now where people can be in your business as much or as little as kind of you allow because of social media and stuff. Sure. You took it a step further where you sat in Bello's basement and you wrote it all down.
Yeah.
How are you feeling now that everybody knows all your shit?
Great question. Look, when my book first came out, I was the first week. I remember telling my wife I was really scared. Really, I mean, because you do all these you reread the thing a lot to make sure it's right, right? You know that. So it came out of nowhere where it hit me one day. I was like, everybody knows my shit. It's like my life. There's nothing exaggerated in that book. There's nothing that's not real and honest. It's as raw as I got. I felt raw when I left that book. And even when I did some of the rereads, I said, man, should I not? I even asked my publisher, I said, is this too raw? Is it too much of me? There's nothing left, But everybody was, because it affected everybody, and it affected everybody so profoundly, honestly. And this is what the payoff is here. And this is it. It's not about book sales. It's not about money, because there's not a lot of money. You know what I mean? It's not a bestseller. All I wanted to do, like I want to do with my music, I want to connect with people. That's all I wanted to do with the book. The best feeling that I've gotten from this whole thing with writing a book and all that stuff is people writing me back and how this book helped them deal with their loss. The loss of, look, they all know my brother's loss, the murder and all that stuff is horrible. Abandonment by my dad, right? All that stuff. People were really connecting with this stuff, and they're writing the publisher on it, they're writing me about, and it really, these are really beautiful letters I'm getting too. Really great comments, like from the heart, and how it really made them think about their life a different way. So it's a more, it's just a lighter place, a better place than where they were at. And let me tell you something, if one person felt like that and that book achieved that, then that's the goal, right? Because it's not about money and all that. Yeah, money's nice and all that stuff, but it's about, especially at this age, it's about paying it forward. I've been very lucky in my life. I know that. A lot of hard work, but I've been also very fortunate. So the idea is, why wouldn't I want to make somebody else feel like the way I've been able to feel? So that's what it's about now. It's like, come on, I have a 16-year-old kid. I want to make it a better world somehow. Whatever it is, just put it into the world. Put the positivity into the world. Maybe good things happen. That's where it's at.
I've interviewed a lot of artists, Ronnie Radke from Falling in Reverse most recently, that he's got a book coming out as well. And people have told me, because I've had a lot of crazy things happen in my life, Carrie, you should write a book. I can't get past looking at a blank piece of paper or a blank screen on my computer and starting day one. How did you get over that hump? What was your process like to get this thing done?
First off, I have a great co-writer, Joe McIver, who I was friends with before, who knows me pretty much more than I know myself, and I didn't know that. But he was also great. He was great at pulling these stories that he knew I had in my head. And look, you probably say the same thing. You know they're in there. You don't know how to get them out. And I get it. I totally understand it. But there's a way with Joel, and I have to credit, he better pay me for this. There's a great thing that he does. He'll put one specific line in there. He'll trigger that story that's in the back of your head, and you have them. I think everybody's got them. And it just started flowing. And we had these great sessions in this basement. Had these great sessions via internet. And let me tell you, there was booze, there was whiskey, there was tissues for crying. There was a lot of deep shit that went on that probably I thought I got over in therapy. Obviously, I wasn't. And that's a big deal when you go deep like that and say, wow, I'm feeling this again. All of a sudden, I'm talking to Joel, and I can't talk anymore because my voice is getting high. I'm crying. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? I thought I dealt with this. And, I don't think it ever leaves you. And then after the book, I had all these other emotions from the book, and I started writing music. So I have a solo EP coming out from that. It all made sense because I needed to keep getting this out. And after the book, I said, "Wow, I'm left with all this shit in my head, in my gut." And creatively, it just made all the sense in the world to just keep getting it out there.
How did the guys in the band react? Was there anything in there that they didn't know and they read it and were like, dude?
I think, first off, everybody's very supportive, which I'm very happy about. And, look, I want everybody to do their own thing and be happy. And everybody does side projects in my band, so everybody's cool. Scott wrote 2 great books. Charlie, the drummer, Anthrax, we grew up together. So he knows a lot of this stuff. But some of the stuff he didn't know was when I lived with my dad and mom. He wasn't there for that. He was there when I moved into his house with my grandmother, because we're related. He's actually my uncle. So there's a lot of deep shit, but he didn't know. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff he didn't know I was feeling, and a lot of deep stuff in there. And you actually, it's funny because you see the formation when you read the book of the nucleus of Anthrax, really after that, of what this Anthrax is now. So I find it, that part was a lot of fun because I kind of relived it, and I love my grandmother like nobody on this earth. That was a great time to revisit. It was really because I paid tribute to her, and she deserved it. It was one of those things. It was all love because I believe she brought love, and that makes me want to do that. It's important.
There's something about an Italian grandmother, right?
Yeah, I mean, grandmothers in general, but Italian grandmothers is a little something special there. The food, the loving in the food, and food is a big part of my life, as you know.
I have to ask you this because I got married in the middle of COVID, and my husband's not Italian, and I am. Thank you.
Oh, very cool.
And he thinks I'm loud, and when I say I'm not yelling, I'm Italian, he doesn't understand that. He doesn't understand the Anna's cookies at Christmas. Like, he doesn't understand. There's just certain things, and when I try to get him to, I'm like, it's an Italian thing. You just don't get it. Like.
When I say to that, because I get that too, and just so you don't feel bad, I use the word, I'm not loud, I'm passionate, right? I'm passionate about the things I believe in. And then, like you're talking about food, I'm passionate, I'm going to get a little louder. Oh, no, they have this sauce like this, and you put the mozzarella like that. Oh my God, and you're raising the voice, and all of a sudden it's like, what the hell? Are you yelling at me right now?
And that's what he'll say, stop yelling. And I'm like,
I'm not yelling.
I'm not.
Yeah, I just feel really good, and I want you to enjoy it. I'm hoping that this gets through to you. You have to understand. It's not yelling. It's my passion for whatever we're talking about. It really is that. We talk with our hands. Look at me. I'm pathetic.
I was just going to say, if you're listening to this podcast, if you could see me and Frank's hands, they're just flying everywhere.
It's like we're high-fiving over here, but we're not even touching. It's really weird. But it is that. That's how we accentuate what we're talking about. It's like, here it is,
Well, you were very busy during like the lockdown and all of that stuff with creative work things, right? A book and a solo album coming out. Obviously, everything Anthrax has been doing around your 40th anniversary.
Yeah.
But I've also been very curious about the non-music related hobbies that you may have picked up because you got bored as shit.
Yeah.
Did you start gardening or doing jigsaw puzzles like Slash did?
Have you been talking to my wife? Because gardening. Look, I'll tell you right now. I'm not a big lawn guy. I don't try to get my grass as green as fucking everything else. Fuck that. I want to cut the grass. I want to make it look decent, but I'm not going to be in competition with my neighbor. Fuck that. I'm not competing with you because I'm cutting my grass, and that's the way it's going to be. But I've gotten into the gardening just because I find, and this sounds weird, in this COVID time where you can't go out of your house, all that other bullshit, right? I found it was very easy on the mind. It just kind of like got me away from everything else, music, all the other shit, frustration of not being able to play, all that stuff. I find it's funny, man, because I just started buying my wife a bunch of different flowers and plants. I said, oh, no, this is going to go here, and this is going to go. Why not? And my backyard looks pretty good right now. I have to say I'm pretty proud of it. I keep up with it, but the lawn mowing is not my favorite part. I hedged all my front hedges, and I used to be like, I used to do it all cockeyed because I don't know how to do it when I started. Now I've got to be honest, I've become pretty good at it. So I guess it's therapeutic in the long run, So even.
But do you have tomato plants, Frank Bello?
Look, I have, and my wife has 2 big boxes. You know those boxes, those dirt boxes?
Yeah.
Big. My friend Mike built these 2 big boxes of just vegetables. So it's very old school Italian stuff going on here. I get the basil. We have mint. We have tomatoes. She has she has cucumbers. There's lettuce we tried. There's another lettuce we're going to try. What is this other one? This Italian vegetable, broccolini.
Broccolini, yeah,
Broccolini,
delicious.
Yeah. That hasn't come up yet, but why not? And it's great. No pesticides are going to be on that. You just pull it straight from the garden. So it's all really seriously organic. You pull it. I love the fact that I can pull it from the garden, wash it, goes in the pot.
Just be careful with that mint.
What?
The mint will take over if you're not careful. That's like a vampire letting it in the house. Once it's in there, it wreaks havoc.
There's one specific reason why I asked for the mint to be planted, and that's because mojitos.
Yes, that's why mine's out there.
And that's specifically for that. And I have mint just about with every drink I have, other than beer. But it gets, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and the day's over, sit outside, admire my yard. This is very pathetic, but that's what happens in COVID time. That's what I've learned how to do. And it's funny because you're talking about this COVID time in our basements, right? After last night's show, again, great show, all that good stuff. I'm really weirded out about, and this is a guy who's been on the road most of his life. I'm really weirded out about going on a bus and not coming home the first day, right? Staying out for a 5-week tour. I'm weirded out as how's that going to affect me, because I'm in a definite program here. Go out and do whatever, the yard work, all the other stuff, the house, in the basement. I was wondering last night after the show, how am I going to adjust to this? How's this going to be again? I know it'll sink in.
It made us all a little agoraphobic.
Yes. Yes.
And it spoiled our fucking dogs that we're going to be home all the time.
Yes, you're totally right.
Shits.
You are exactly right. We have two dogs. We adopted both of them. We saved them both, and one we adopted during COVID. And he's so attached to Teresa, my wife. He's so attached. I mean, as she's working at home and on the desk, he's in her lap. So if she has to go back, if her job calls her back, man, he's going to be left with me, and who are you? It's going to be one of those things. I kind of feel bad, but it's one of those things. It'll be. What
are the dogs' names? I need to know what the dogs' names are, and I'll tell you why in a second.
My first dog was Chloe. She's upstairs, and Pumpkin is the other one. Pumpkin was from the adoption agency, from Social Tees. I have to give them props. Social Tees NYC, great people there. Go adopt a dog. I highly recommend it. You save a dog. It's awesome. We did it twice. It's awesome.
Do you have Instagrams for your dogs yet?
I don't. I barely want to do Instagram for myself. Look, everybody who knows me, I like connecting with people, but to feel like you have a job, I don't want to feel compelled that I have to have content for today. I want to make it fun content, or bust somebody's balls, or play something. I don't want to feel obligated. Oh, I got to come up with something. And I know a lot of people like this, who just, oh shit, I got to come up with something for today's content. It's not, for me, it's not real that way. I want to be spontaneous. I want to be fun. I want to have fun with it, and that's not fun. It's almost like, all right, my job today is to make content. All right, I'm going to take a picture of the wall, and what are you going to do?
I have to ask what people's dogs' names are now, because recently I interviewed Geezer Butler. And did you know that all of his animals are named after gangster rappers?
I've heard that, which is awesome. Isn't that great, though?
It's the greatest thing.
Him and Gloria, they rule.
Ever.
They're the best. They really are the best. He's not only one of my heroes, easily, of course, but I love that they're so passionate about that. They really are great people.
I asked Geezer if he thought that Black Sabbath should be credited with inventing heavy metal. And he kind of told me the story about the reporter that saw the Sabbath show and kind of used the term heavy metal as an insult at describing the show. You're part of the Big Four. Did Black Sabbath invent heavy metal? What do you think?
Look, you're asking a Sabbath fan. You can't, of course. For me, it's right there. It's in, listen to Black Sabbath. Listen to Black Sabbath. For me, yeah, I grew up on that. So I have to say yes to that. I still love, and they still stand up. Those songs still stand up. So yeah, for me, yes. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure everybody else could say this about other bands. It's all very personal. For me, yeah, that was the first heavy guitar that I heard like that. Tony Iommi's guitar. Geezer playing with that, the way he plays with a kind of distorted bass and just these great jazz bass lines that he made up. That was all a great time. It was a great mixture of heavy, There was great stuff, heaviness coming in. So for me, yes.
I've had a lot of great conversations with guitar players and bass players, and the conversation of tone always comes up. Where do you attribute the origin of a player's tone? Where does it come from?
In their personality. To be really honest with you, I was just talking, I'm working with this wonderful, not to prop them up, this wonderful company called Tech 21, New York City. Tech 21, they're a pedal company. I've been using their Sans amp for years. If you ask most of the bass players out there, they'll be using a Sans amp in the studio. It's a studio thing that I use live. I'm working with them on a really cool project for a pedal, so I'm really psyched about this. We were talking about where the tone comes from. It's all from inside. I believe everybody's got their personality, so everybody has their own tone. right? You hear something different than I do. You'll hear it in your tone, and maybe it's your personality from what you hear in your head. I think that's really important. So people ask me about my bass tone. It's just what I hear in my head. And it's not right unless it matches the sound I have in my head. So for me, it's a personality thing. It's in my head. My tone is who I am, really. It's true.
I don't have a tone because I can't play any instruments. And I also can't write songs, which I'm very sad about, which is why I think I surround myself with creative people that can, because I just can't do it. Yes.
Yeah.
First of all, can you hear my voice? Okay. This is not singing anything.
Look, I've heard some stuff that could be, you know what I'm saying? Anything.
My career as a clarinet player ended a long time ago, and there's no heavy metal clarinet anywhere I've looked. There isn't any.
You know what? You never know. I used to be a trombone player and a tuba player. Yeah, in jazz class, and in the Bronx, I was a trombone player. Then I switched to tuba because they didn't have a tuba player. And then in high school, they put me on in the jazz class. They put me on stand-up bass, which I really loved because it was great for my extension. Because I played electric. But the teacher would never want me on the electric because I always played heavy songs, and she didn't want that. So she would put me on the big stand-up bass, which I loved. I thought it was awesome. It was great training for me.
When did you start playing bass? Did you play guitar first, or did you play bass first?
I played guitar first in my house with Charlie, my drummer, and we were jamming all kinds of songs. But he's the one, him and my friend Mike were the ones that noticed I was playing the bass parts on guitar. So they were the one that recommended, why don't you just play bass? Because you're hearing that first. And when I picked up the bass, it just clicked in. And I hear bass first. It's really weird. When I hear songs, I go straight to the bass and I separate them from the other parts, the guitar and drums. I listen to what the bass is playing.
I have a theory about music. Tell me if I'm right.
Go ahead.
That there's the early years of music that you get gifted, right? Your parents, your older brother, that badass cool uncle that exposes you to stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's a day where you hear something for yourself and go, that I like, that is mine. So what was the soundtrack of your upbringing? What's the music you got gifted? And then what was that day? What was that song that changed it for you?
Great question. Great theory here, because I think that's a great theory. It was Kiss. When I saw them, I said, I want to do that, right? And then as far as bass, it was pretty much Rush. And yes, and Geezer. And, I have to give all these people credit. Give Steve Harris, my favorite guys, bass players. And that was it. So Kiss made me want to I want to be on stage like that. But then I heard what another side of it with musicianship, and Kiss are great musicians, don't get me wrong, but it's another side. It was a different kind of musicianship that I liked. With Geddy was doing it with the bass. I said, I have to learn that. I don't know how I'm going to learn it, but I had to learn it. I felt it really. I had to go after school, and I say this in the book. After every day I worked in a deli in the Bronx. After every day, it closed at 8:00. I would go home and learn Rush songs. It was really that important to me, and not go out with the guys who were going out to party. I thought it was more important to learn how these people did this and how to make it sound like that, and how do you make that note go like it was so. It was so important to me. It still is. Because I still go back to. I was jamming Rush the other day. I was listening to some of Geddy's stuff. I'm still fascinated by the guy. I'll be the eternal fan and student. I'll always do that. I don't think you should ever stop learning.
Are you good at math? That seems to be something that if you're, especially with the bass players you're talking about, music and math are like the same part of the brain.
I'm not good at math, but that I understand that if you put it together like that, it is numbers and stuff like that. But I was never good at math in school, but this somehow clicked. I don't know why. I wish I could have had the bass when I was doing school. I probably would have done better in math.
I want to ask you this question, and it's from a songwriter's perspective. So it's not a favorite album, favorite song kind of thing. Mm-hmm. You're a songwriter. So from a songwriter's perspective, can you give me an example or two of songs you feel are so well crafted that they are an example of perfect songwriting? But then you got to break it down and explain to me why.
Anybody,
any genre, any artist, doesn't matter.
Let's go to
craft of the song.
Let's go to Eleanor Rigby.
Ooh, yes!
Right? Let's go to Eleanor Rigby.
Yes!
Right? Paul McCartney, Beatles, obviously. Listen to that. First off, where did that come from? What gift from God does that come from, right? And it's put into his brain to put into a piano. Listen to it. The piano parts alone. And then that great melody right on top of that. He's following. He's all up and down the keys, right? Eleanor, baby, where's it? And he's telling a story. How about the lyric on top of that melody? We're completely diving into that and living the story with him. The music is compelling. It's bringing you in because it's such a catchy riff, right? It's a catchy, oh my, all of a sudden, this great melody, there's the taste. There's the beautiful taste. It's candy, right? That melody's candy. Eleanor Rigby works in the church and was married. I'm getting off the Klimt of this shit. But then the lyric, he's telling this beautiful story. That's one guy, right? This beauty, that's what makes you want to write songs. How do you do that? Never come close to that, but it's like, but you want to try to do something close to it. It's like that exists. So I want to learn from that and do my thing, right? And I think that's important for everybody. Writers, songwriters, just book writers, whatever it is. He told a story within a song. The music was telling that story already. But then he had that beautiful melody on top. And then the words, he told this beautiful story and we all followed it.
And the story gets sad.
It's a total sad story. We want to cry at the end of it. It's a total sad story. But does it matter? All I know is after that song, we may be a little melancholy, but I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated to this day. It's my ringtone, for God's sake. That song is my ringtone. It's because it's so not only catchy. Catchy is too short for that. It's so number one, it's honest, and I think that kind of song is a gift. I do. It's a gift because when have you heard a song like that recently? Think about that.
I talk about it all the time on the show. The greatest gift my mother ever gave me, which is why I asked you the question about the music you got exposed to growing up. My mom exposed me to the Beatles, and she had this amazing love of music, right? Yeah. That you determine where you were in your life by what song you remember listening to at that time. Not everybody's like that.
No.
But when you get gifted that, the amount of times people have cited a Lennon and McCartney song on this show being examples of perfect songwriting, can't even count them.
Yeah, you have to, because I believe, look, in our lifetime, we were very lucky to have that. Really, we were very lucky to have that. And Paul's 80, God bless him. I love him. He just played New York the other day. I missed it. We were very lucky to have the Beatles. And look, and we're very lucky to have those recordings to learn from. It's to learn. I think they were the teachers. You know, they were influenced from who they were influenced from. The sponges of their minds got all these great things that they were influenced by, put it into these beautiful songs. And for all of us to go on in life with forever. So I just think the Beatles were a gift, you know. And look, for me, it's always been the Beatles and then the Stones, right? That kind of thing. I like it. Love the Stones. All good. Loving what Mick Still's doing. Is still doing. It's just incredible. But for me, it's always going to be the Beatles, because you could still listen. You could listen to the White Album today and just close the lights, put your headphones on, and go into another world. It really is that, right? You can go into another world. And
people ask me like why I am the way that I am, and I'm like, my mom let me listen to the White Album on 8-track when I was like 5. Smart. Did you expect anything else was going to happen?
I respect your mom. I love that, because you know what? She gave you, in my opinion, she gave you a gift. That's a gift.
100% is a gift.
That's a gift for me. I mean, my kid's into everything. He's into rock. He's into hip hop. He's slowly getting into the Beatles now. He's 16. I'm just trying to make him understand of what this really is and where a lot of the music came from. You know, and nowadays it's all, you go back a little bit. And even before,
you better take him to see McCartney or Ringo before they're gone, so he can say he saw a Beatle.
That's my goal. That's my goal. See, the other day, Thursday, Paul played here. I talked to him like I know him, Paul. He played in the old Giant Stadium, whatever it's called, MetLife Stadium now. And my friend said he had a ticket for me, right? A guy gave him these two tickets. The guy reneged at the end, so he took him, and Frank was left here. I was like, really? And I found out later. I was kind of annoyed. I was like, really? And because I could have got my own tickets. I got one.
You're in Anthrax. Yeah. Can't you get a ticket?
Don't you know, guy? But he had this ticket. This was a lock, right? You know what? A lock.
Yeah.
I had it locked in, so I didn't. You don't think about getting your own tickets. Okay, we'll go together. We'll have a good time. Have some beers. Blah blah blah. It never came.
I joke all the time. You'll appreciate this joke. I say one of the greatest days of my life, Jacksonville, Florida. I saw Paul McCartney on stage as the Super Bowl halftime show, and my beloved New England Patriots won the Super Bowl in one day. I was big. Like, it doesn't get any better than that.
That's just incredible. See, that's a win-win all around.
That's a good day.
See, and we can get into this for a second because I can talk to you about this. You have a Paul McCartney, you have all these, Prince, all these great performers, Gaga, all these great performers. Have you seen what's been going on lately about, with the halftime show, it's like they're not really grasping what the audience is. I want more. How about put some rock and roll in there somewhere? Something's got to happen.
I thought AC/DC was going to get announced.
They had the record.
All of it.
It's a matter of fact.
Go to a sporting event without hearing AC/DC. Impossible.
That's what bothers me. It's like, wait a second. If you put AC/DC on that stage right now, you shook me all night long. People are losing their shit. I get it. We're rock and roll. We're metal people. I get it. But at the same time, it's been consistent. Like I've seen the halftime show. I don't watch it anymore. It's just like, look, there's some good hip hop stuff, but it's like some of it's like, wait, that's like you're not real. It's like you're phoning it in. It's not really leveling it out. You got to bring that level up, man. The energy. There's no energy. I'm like, come on, what is that?
AC/DC is the biggest gaping hole in representation for the Super Bowl, in my opinion. It's Absolutely. Like they are the soundtrack to every sporting event at one point or another.
Absolutely.
And they haven't been asked to play it. Or maybe they have and they've turned it down. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, even Metallica. I'd like to see Metallica play the halftime show.
Yes.
Whatever. I want to see, again, hip-hop, fine. Why don't we mix it up? Why don't we put some hip-hop and some metal or rock, whatever you want to do, but make it for everybody. Just like, look, I like some hip-hop. I like older hip-hop. I like older hip-hop more than the newest stuff. My son's into the newer hip-hop. That's how I learn. But
you guys helped to bridge that in a lot of ways. Anthrax helped to kind of
absolutely
bring those two things together before anybody was doing it. You guys, that's your story.
It's not a blanket statement. Like I don't like the all new hip hop, but just some of it is it gets me, and some of it I don't. I just it's like, all right, that sounds like you're phoning it in. That's I heard that from this other guy. What do you bring something new to me? Bring life to it. I just feel like it hasn't. And I'm not nailing it. I'm not knocking it. I just feel like for me it hasn't grown. It hasn't grown. I want to see it grow a little more because I think it deserves to grow.
Talk to me about, because again, I don't understand the songwriting thing. So you're a songwriter, you're an artist. Talk to me about the difference between an idea you get in Bello's basement that you go, okay, that's going on my solo EP, versus something that you get and go, okay, that's for Anthrax. Like, how do you make that decision about where that goes?
It's a really good question because it happens right here. I would do demos, and like, I specifically there's a couple of full-on songs. I know it would never be for me. It was too intense. It would never be for my solo stuff because I just want my solo stuff. Look, you could write whatever you want to write, but something just lends itself. All right, that's an Anthrax riff right there. Solo stuff. I know I can use my voice and my melody on top of that. And so there's other stuff that I just recorded. Said this is Anthrax. So I want to go full-on Anthrax with this, and I'll put a lot of the drumming I think is going to be there, all that stuff, the guitar work. You know it when you hear it. Because, and also when I do solo stuff, it's more rock. It's not as much metal, because I do the Anthrax metal thing on that side. So I have fun with the rock and roll stuff. It's heavy rock. It's still heavy, but it's more rock and roll. But you know it when you hear it, and when you play, it's like, oh yeah, this will be good. This will be good for solo. This will be good for Anthrax. And you give it to the guys.
Other than Slayer, who they've kind of rumbled a little bit, saying maybe they retired a little prematurely now, what do you attribute to all of those bands, like the Big Four, whatever you want to call them? They're all still around. And the fans are all still there, and the shows are just as big.
Oh, thank God for that. Yeah.
Right? But what is it? Because so many bands have come and gone. So many different genres of artists have come and gone. What is it?
Look, first, I feel really fortunate to be part of this whole thing. I do. And that's not just saying it like a politician. I just think it's real. we're not trying to be somebody else. I don't think any of these bands, I think everybody's got their own individuality. Metallica has their thing. They have their sound. They have their songs. Slayer has their thing. Megadeth, Anthrax. I mean, everybody's got their thing. Slipknot has their thing. You know what I mean? Lamb of God, all these great groups, Exodus, all these great groups, they're still around because people know they're going to give them, it comes out of them. It's so real. It's so honest. It's honest. And they're not trying to be somebody else. They're going to be themselves. I think that's what people appreciate that. They know, like an Anthrax, a group like Anthrax, we can't be anybody else. We're not trying to be. We never did. We just want to do what we want to do. And I think people appreciate it. I'm thankful that they appreciate that. But you can't phone it in. You can't try to be somebody else. You just got to try to be a fan. I think we're all fans. We're still fans of this music, and we have to impress ourselves, and then we think other people, like-minded people, would like it also. That's the whole point.
When it comes to rock and roll and heavy metal or whatever, there's been a lot of people over the years. I mean, shit, they've been saying it for 25 years that rock is dead and, the world has moved on. Do you think it's a good thing for rock and roll that it's kind of gotten driven back underground and it's a little dirtier and more secretive now?
I was having this conversation the other day. Great question. I kind of think it's cool that we're underground. It's rock and roll, right? It's rebellion. It's rebellion because it's not the norm. Look, I know I have no problem that it's a hip hop world. That's fine. It's fine. But rock and roll was always rebellious, and that's kind of cool. We'll be, under the radar. I kind of like going under the radar. I don't think there's anything wrong. It's very rock and roll, metal, whatever you want to call it. But there's an underground. There's an underground, which is really cool. And that always, remember this, that always builds up to something big, right? And one day everybody gets like-minded and it builds up to be this big thing again. So I think, even with the younger bands coming out, I'm excited because there's younger bands coming out that are going to blow up one day and make this metal or rock thing big again. And I think it's important. So everything's got cycles. You live long enough, you learn that everything's got cycles, right? So no one thing is going to be forever. That's the way I look at it. I said, all right, you know what? This is a cycle. I'm cool with being underground. I just want to write great songs and have fun with this thing, man. And just go out and rock. And if it's underground, it's underground. If it's the biggest thing, cool too. Whatever. Just as long as we can do it. It's really important.
You guys are celebrating 40 years, which
it's weird,
still
right?
blows my mind open. And you went back and did that docuseries and kind of went through the history of the band. And it's got to make you a little sentimental, right? To kind of go back and look at everything, not only everything that you've achieved, but everything that you've achieved together with these guys from the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's really weird that after all these years, and remember those early days and everybody in one hotel room, and in that van, in that smelly van where everybody had gas. It was horrible. All those, but I say that it was horrible, but those are the best times of our lives, because it's the rite of passage. It's like that's how growing up. My scrapbook of my life is Anthrax. Think about it. I know I've seen these people in this group more than I've seen my family. So growing up in all those days on the road, we were road dogs. That's what we did. There was no radio that was going to play us anytime soon in those days, right? So you had to stay on the road and make people see you. That's the way it worked. And I cherished when I saw those videos. It brought back a lot of great memories. And it also makes me appreciate what a great ride. Yeah, there's bumps and bruises and all that stuff, peaks, valleys, all that stuff, like everything else in life. But it makes you really appreciate it because we've been around for a while. And to be relevant in 2022, with the last two records, people are saying some of our finest work ever. That's a pat on the back, and it also makes you want to do more, makes you hungrier to make that better record. Like we make sure our songs are right for us. We have to make sure when we really nitpick the shit out of them. I think that's important. So I'm really proud of our ride, and seeing that thing brought back even some of the things. What's funny about that whole YouTube thing that's on YouTube, if you guys haven't seen it. I didn't know what some of the band members felt until they interviewed them individually. And same thing for me. They didn't know it was the same thing. So it was nothing bad. It was just cool that, oh, you felt like that too? Holy shit. And it brought on more conversation, which I think is healthy for the group.
Is there anything left besides raising the bar when it comes to music? Is there any kind of personal goal for the music or personal goal for the band? I mean, it's 40 years. You guys have done a lot of shit.
If you know us and you know us, I don't think there's a peak. I don't think we've reached anything. For me, the fun of the game is the hunger, the angst of trying to reach a goal that may not exist. I don't even know what the hell that is. The void, into the void, right? No pun. But I'm just saying, I just want to keep raising the bar. That's what's important. Raising the bar. I need to, I need, for myself, I need to achieve more than I've achieved musically, writing wise, and just feeling like I've done that. And because I don't see an end. Anthrax is very hungry. We're very hungry. We enjoy playing together. We know we have something special, and there's a lot of fucking angst in this group, which I love. I live on angst.
Me too. I tell people, maybe that's an Italian thing too. I tell people I'm fueled by hate and caffeine. Like, why is it that we have to get upset and be angry to be motivated? What is that?
I think the way, and I tell my wife this, believe me, I think my angst comes out passionately. Passionately, I think it's important because we feel so strongly about something. We get so deeply into something and believe in it. Because when we get a goal, and that's a good thing for me. All the people in my family, we're going to get a goal. We're going for it. You know, if we believe in it, we study the whole thing around. It's all good. It's all, you know, when you go for something, it's got to be all the way. It can't be half-assed. It's got to be done right. It can't be, oh, I'll leave that for later. No. Get to that fucking thing now. Whatever that is, you don't leave that alone. You work hard. It's a work ethic, really. It's really a work ethic. Work hard and feel good about it, because once you're at that place where you want to get, you take that breath, you have that beer, say, yeah, that's what it's important. But you never really get there. You just take little breaks, you know, like after a record. After a record's out, and you let your baby out, you let it go, right? Okay, that was good. What's next? It's got to be like, you know, it is that. Yeah. You take that breath, take that 1 second breath. Like, for me, it's always been, I think the band Anthrax, it's always been like that. Okay, you don't rest. There's no rest. There's always tomorrow. We have to make a whole new audience, you know, to come along with our audience, because there's more people out there that don't know about Anthrax. So for me, it's about making that people turn them on to it and making them feel good.
When you go through your career and you're getting ready to go on this tour, which you're going to be at the Palladium Outdoors for the Tattoo the Earth Festival.
That's going to be crazy. That show is going to be insane.
Be nuts.
Just the guest list alone for that show is insane.
The stages. I had Scott Alderman, who started the Tattoo the Earth tour, 20-something years ago, on the show recently. We're just talking about how crazy that was.
Yeah.
But the fact that they let these shows happen in downtown Worcester, outdoors.
I love it.
The first time I saw shows out there before COVID, I was like, the mayor's okay with this shit? Because it was loud and insane, and the city was like, go for it, which I love.
It's great.
But when you're going through a 40-year discography and you haven't been able to tour in a while and you got new music, then you go, okay, well, we got Black Label Society, Hatebreed. We only get so many minutes on stage.
Right. Make it count.
Are you bringing are you dusting off some stuff that maybe Anthrax fans haven't heard in a while?
This has been conversations via texting, group texting, conversations on the phone, managers, agent, blah, blah, blah. What we're going to do, there's some really fun stuff. I'll start with set list. We definitely dusted some stuff off, which I'm very proud of. There were negotiations, believe me, to make everybody get on board with it. And because everybody's got their vote. In this band, it's democracy, so everybody's got their vote.
Well, wait, hold on. Does Charlie get a little bit more of a vote? Because out of all of you guys, he's the one that's got to keep up the most. The bar's high for the drummer.
Look, enough of the crying, right? No. Charlie's actually great because, truthfully, he's a machine. Everybody knows Charlie's a machine. Yeah. So we will pace the set. Like, you're not going to put gung ho, like a killer double bass song like that, and then another double bass song right after that. So you got to be cautious with that stuff. We'll always ask, are you okay with that? Because of the pacing. And plus you also want to make it a good pacing, highs, lows, all that stuff. But yeah, we all this set list is really coming along nicely. I'm very happy because look, I don't want to play the same songs of every show we've ever done. I want to pull some stuff. We have a big fucking catalog, So let's pull out some stuff and have some fun with it, And there are definitely some surprises in this set. So
is it crazy for you to be on that stage and see the dad that loved you guys when he was growing up, and now he's got a kid next to him in an Anthrax shirt that's going to hear some of these songs for the first time live ever? That's got to blow your mind.
Case in point, last night, right? Milwaukee, right? Great show, Summerfest. We just pulled this TNT from AC/DC. Just pulled it out, right? Just have fun with it, right? Big crowd, all that stuff. Everybody, all that. It was awesome, right? Out of nowhere, a gentleman with his son lifts his kid. The security guy puts his kid on the stage. He wants to sing TNT. I thought he was just going to sing the backup. There's probably video of it somewhere. I thought he was going to sing the background TNT. No, this kid takes lead vocals over with Joey and nails it. I'm telling you, this kid couldn't have been 10 years old and nails it. I was looking at, fucking kid rules. This kid rules. I was just, because he got everything. He was so into it. And what you just talked about, the dad smile. The family smile in the audience, the proud thing. And the kid, we kept him up the whole song, right? He was up there for the whole song. We brought the mic. Scott brought his mic down for him to sing. It was just one of those rite of passage. It was so fucking great to see that. And this kid was so stoked to be up there. That's what it's all about, right? Passing it on to the next generation. Come on. If that kid, I hope he becomes a rock legend, right? And remembers that time with Anthrax on the stage, right? What else? I mean, that's what it's about.
I mean, speaking of Scott, I see him put all these videos up playing with his kid.
Yeah, that was great.
It's unbelievable.
It's awesome. Yeah, and that's the whole idea. I mean, look, again, it's got to come from somewhere, right? The next phase of what we love has to come from somewhere. So might as well start them young. And look, and remember, this outlet, this great outlet of music, we need this in this crazy world. But look, we all know it's a ridiculous world. And I won't even talk about today or yesterday, but it's a crazy world right now. I think people, not only people, but these kids are under such pressure. They need an outlet. I see my son, like he's wailing on, he's singing every song he knows. That's an outlet, man. It was for me. And I think we're giving the gift of an outlet for this music thing. So when I see these younger generation guys, these kids come up, man, it's the best. It's the best.
Well, it's been scientifically proven that heavy music is actually good for your psychological health. They've done the studies. It's a fact.
Get it out. Get it out. I mean, it gets the angst out. And that's what we all, look, when I was feeling the way I felt when I was younger, when my dad took off, no money, blah, blah, all this, the whole story, my outlet to feel better was music, was always music. And it made me feel better about things. Whatever it was, it took me to another place. And it's really important. And the heavy stuff, it met that angst I had in my gut. That's what it meant. It meant, okay, now it's one-on-one with this. All right, that feels like I feel like in here. I like that.
And they used to try to blame the music on creating the angst.
Of course.
Like, remember back in the day, Judas Priest testifying in court and all that bullshit? Like, they tried to make it like the music caused it, but the music was the cure for it.
It has nothing to do with the stupid laws they put in place, and it's hurting everybody's life. It's mostly about the music that's making them feel. No, it's the thing that you're because this kid's parents can't afford a meal because you're fucking law. It's a whole thing. Thank God for music. Thank God, because it takes us away from life for a while. It really does. It makes us go to a different place. It's really important.
Well, before I let you go, I got one more question for you.
I'm here.
Because I know that you grew up in the deli. Yes. And I'm 5th generation Sicilian baker and grew up in the deli too. Baker and deli. Sandwiches, cold cuts, making sausage, all of it.
You make the sausage too with the skin and everything?
Come on, Frank.
I applaud this. You're getting an applause.
Natural casings, all of it.
I'm loving this.
So, can you slice prosciutto right?
Of course. I'm a great... Look, here's the deal with the deli. I became really good at it, and I'm not bragging or anything, but I had to be good at it because my Uncle Joe, my Uncle Joe would tell me exactly when I was doing it wrong, and his dad, he rest his soul, this guy Tony, his father, he would watch me, everything I cut. Either it was paper, you have, in the deli, you have these people come in like, could I have a 1/4 pound of liverwurst, paper thin, How do you cut paper thin liverwurst? It's made to be thick. Anybody who knows that, any knows deli meats, it's got to. I sound pathetic now, I know, but it's the truth. A quarter pound. So
I'm in here with you right now. I am in here with you.
I had to dirty my machine for your quarter pound of liverwurst. I got to clean this thing all over again. Believe me, it was a big deal. So yeah, I think I'm pretty good at cutting because I had to be. I had to learn.
So growing up in the bakery was called Tony's, by the way, ironically enough.
Of course.
And the bakery's no more, but the meat slicer I have in my kitchen. Now, yes.
Wow.
And people come over and they walk in my kitchen and they go, how much fucking meat are you cutting? How much meat, how much salami are you eating?
I love it.
That you need to cut it. So what I'm telling you is I'm not far from the Palladium when you guys are in town for Tattoo the Earth. If you have meat you need cut.
Wow.
To make you feel, I can handle that for you because I have a full commercial grade meat slicer in my kitchen.
Wasn't this a Seinfeld episode?
It probably was.
I think it was. Yeah. Kramer brought the deli slicer to his house. He was cutting everything. Wow.
It's like when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. When you have a slicer, like if I'm making sandwiches, it's sliced lettuce. Why would I not cut the tomatoes on the slicer? Why would you not?
It's everything. I mean, we did everything with the peppers. We did everything on that. Did you ever? Can you cut a roast beef? Can you do a roast beef?
Oh, of course. Come on. Yeah.
That was we used to have to. You ever untie the roast beef before you had to? Because we used to tie it up, of course, to cook it, and then you had to untie it, make sure it's not in the meat. Oh, it was great. I remember
when I was a kid, a delicacy for me was a Oscar Mayer bologna sandwich on Wonder Bread because it wasn't allowed in the house. Because I grew up being the kid in kindergarten and first grade, opening my, Scooby-Doo, or I think I had a Peanuts lunchbox back then, and I had a fresh-baked bulky roll with imported provolone cheese and fresh tomatoes from the garden and thinly sliced prosciutto that back then was probably $4.99 a pound, and people thought was highway robbery.
Yeah, back then, right.
Yeah, and all the kids were like, gross, what are you eating?
Yeah.
And I was like, can I just have a bite of your peanut butter and jelly sandwich? And now I want to punch that little girl because she didn't know how good she had it.
I get it. I totally understand. What's your? I have to ask you this, and I'm interviewing you.
Bring it on.
Right now, since you've been all through this, your life of food with this great stuff that you know, and I know you know. What if I had to ask you? If I had to make you a sandwich right now? And I'm in the deli. I'm in my Uncle Joe's deli. What do you want on your sandwich?
It's the same fucking sandwich from the first grade. I want fresh baked bread. I want thinly sliced prosciutto. I want good mozzarella cheese. The more it smells like feet, the better. I want a little oil and vinegar. I want a tomato that literally your grandmother picked 5 seconds ago.
Wow, I like it.
And I want the basil.
My mouth is watering right now. You know that, right? I'm ready. I'm ready for a sub about this big. I'm not even kidding. I would go for it. I'm not even joking. I want it thick. I want it packed like that. I'm ready.
Like when I go out in the garden, the cherry tomatoes, I'll pick one and I'll get a basil leaf and roll it up together. And I'm barefoot and I shove that in my mouth and I'm like, this is the most ginzo thing you could possibly do. And I am into it.
Yeah, that's life right there. You're speaking right. That's what life's supposed to be about. That kind of simplicity, right? Beauty and simplicity all at the same time. It's given from the earth, right? You just pick it out and enjoy it, right? Wow.
I don't understand how people don't get passionate about like food like that. Like cultures that aren't built around their food, I can't understand it.
Yeah. But because it's such a special part of life, right? It's like one of those beautiful things in life, like this food thing. I mean, I love food. I can't eat everything I used to eat, obviously, because we're all older now. But my God, it's when you look at something, it's like a piece of art that you can eat. It really is at that point. So, I mean,
it's how you show someone you love them. It's how you grieve. It literally, like, especially when you're Italian, it's like it's part of. There's a reason to eat.
It's your constant companion, and it'll never let you down because it's always there. Even if you had a bad day, you had a good day. You know, all that stuff. It's really. I gotta eat. I'm starving. I'm not even joking. I want to eat.
When I see you at the end of August for Tattoo the Earth, I'm bringing you a fucking sandwich because I'm gonna be there.
I'm in on that. You know what? If you say it, I'll eat it.
I'm bringing that sandwich, all of it.
Surprise me with that cutter in your house.
Oh.
All right? I want to cut from that one. I want to cut from there.
Cut that meat. Cut that meat.
I want a video. I want to see the video of you making it. I want the whole thing, all right?
I might go out and dry age a prosciutto and hang it in the basement before you get here, just to.
You got it hanging? You got like the delis?
Come on, who didn't have that in the basement?
Best.
How many times did you hit your head on a prosciutto hanging from a rafter when you were a kid?
Man, it's so good. So good. I'm ready. I have a great Italian deli around the corner from my house. I'm not even joking. They got the whole sausage, everything hanging. Oh. It's one of those serious Italian delis. I might have to go make an appearance. I'm not even joking. I might have to go in there. Especially when you said oil and vinegar, and that's the flavor right there.
Right. The good vinegar. So good.
It's done, man. This should be a food show.
I know. It turns into that a lot. It turns into a travel show and a food show because who's been to more places than you guys?
True.
Who's eaten at more places than you guys? Rock bands should have their own travel show because you guys have been around the world and seen and done things.
And specific places. You want to go to specific places. You go to towns like there's this place in Hamburg, Germany. It's a great Italian restaurant right off the water in Hamburg, Germany. It's one of those. Right. We played this place. I think it's called Docks. Down the road, it was this great Italian restaurant. Just some of the best sauce I've ever had in Germany, and it was incredible.
Which is so weird.
And you remember these crazy things, right?
Yes. Fun. When it's maybe that's what we'll do when you guys get off the road. Maybe we'll do an Italian tour together.
Hey, I'm all about it.
And we'll put a travel show together, and we'll go around and.
I'll be 100 pounds more.
Well, I mean,
that's
we can
fine.
bring a treadmill. That's fine.
Yeah, I'll look at the treadmill. How about that? It's fine.
It was so good to see you.
Same here.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, and I cannot wait to see you guys with Black Label Society and Hatebreed. It's going to be awesome.
Fun.
Yeah,
it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward. This tour is going to be a lot of fun because, number one, it's great to be coming out. Look, it's great to be playing again on the tour, right? For everybody, right? All of us, you and us. But then the friends on this tour have known each other quite a long time. So the backstage fun is going to be just as fun as the stage stuff. So it's good all around. Good vibes.
Yeah. Well, I will see you soon. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
All right, lady. You take care of yourself. Had a great time. Have a great day. Go outside and enjoy the sun while it's still here.
I got to go weed my tomato plants. It's exactly where I'm going right now.
I had a show last night. I'm not weeding today because my back, tomorrow.
All right. I'll see you later.
Take care of yourself.
All right. You too.
Bye-bye.
There he is, the one and only Frank Bello from Anthrax. And you better believe I'm making him that sandwich and bringing it to the Tattoo the Earth Festival on August 27th at the Palladium Outdoors. You can get the details to that concert in the show notes of this podcast. And while you're there, you'll also find the corresponding playlist. I make a playlist for every full-length episode of the Mistress Carrie podcast, and it's filled with my guest music and also all of the other music that we talked about in the interview. You're also going to find the link to his official website and all his social media links, and you're going to find all of my links as well. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to hit subscribe and follow the Mistress Carrie podcast. New full-length episodes come out every Wednesday, plus every weekday you get the sit rep. The Situation Report is all of your rock news, music headlines, and industry info in less than 5 minutes. And if you want to save 10% off of everything in the Mistress Carrie online store, use the code July2022 at checkout to help celebrate Christmas in July at mistresscarrie.com. Join me every Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern live on my official Facebook page for Cocktails in the War Room. The Mistress Carrie podcast, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network.
92% of households that start the year with Peloton are still active a year later.
All because of a fancy bike?
It's not just a bike. Peloton makes treadmills too.
All treadmills are the same.
Our treadmills can adjust speed and incline automatically, so you never break your stride. Whether you're squeezing in a power walk or training for a marathon, Peloton can help you achieve your fitness goals. 92% stick with it. So can you. Try the Peloton Tread risk-free with the 30-day home trial. New members only. Not available in remote locations. See additional terms at onepeloton.com/home-trial.
This week on RVER, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
That new doctor is drop dead gorgeous.
please. He's just another Ivy League-educated surgeon with good hair.
No, he's different.
Nurses, we got a Class C motorhome with a detached driver's side mirror. Meet me in the OR. Stat.
Right away, doctor.
No. She's on break. I'll handle this one.
Oh, you conniving little...
When your RV really needs saving, Progressive has you covered. See if you could save with a leader in RV insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Covered subject to policy terms.